Welcome to the Beyond the Vines podcast, where I interview local business owners in Sonoma County to highlight small business and grow our community. I'm your host, Amy Ehlers, a mom, realtor, and Sonoma County native, and I'm excited to connect you to some amazing people in this beautiful area that we call home. Welcome back to the Beyond the Vines podcast. Thank you again for tuning in and listening. I have loved the following that we've had and just hearing your responses to all of the small businesses that I have brought on here. It's just so wonderful, and I'm always so grateful for the community we have here in Sonoma County. I am here today with Mario Apolinar, MFT of Ascent Individual Family Therapy Services. I want to explain to you a little bit more about who Mario is and what he does, and then we'll dive into some questions. So Mario's experience has been primarily with children and families in nonprofit and county settings, generally age 0 to 5, children suffering from anxiety, depression, phobias, substance use, oppositional defiance, at-risk youth for hospitalization, survivors of trauma, families experiencing big changes, and parental difficulties. Overall, his work is focused in working with monolingual Spanish-speaking parents and youth, multicultural families, LGBTQI self-identified individuals, and blended families, which I have a massive blended family, so that definitely sticks out to me. He is honored to work with such diverse populations and believes each family unit has its own culture and many layers of uniqueness. I think this is so important right now, especially coming off of a pandemic, all that's going on in the world. I truly value therapy for all of our kids, and so I am really, really honored to have you here today, Mario. Thank you for being here.
It's good to be here. Thank you.
Of course. So can you tell us more about your journey and what inspired you to be a therapist?
That, I think right off the bat, I think about my mom. That and many different experiences in my life. But my mom stands out the most because she was the model. The role model for listening and opening up the doors for people. And Of course, when I was younger, I was like, okay, you have a lot of friends, a lot of acquaintances, and I really gravitated towards that. And I think that is a gift from her. And now that I'm older, that is a gift from, I think, from up above, from our faith. Yep. And throughout my lifetime, I think that each people that I have met and that have been in my life and helped me through the process, have encouraged me to become a therapist.
Amazing. I love that she was such a model for you too. And the way that, again, like you're saying, opening doors and listening and all of that, that is literally what people need you for. So that's amazing that's trickled right down.
Yes.
Oh, I love that. So we talked briefly in the intro about who you work with, but can you describe to me who you generally work with?
Yes. My niche is definitely children and families, and that is really starting from 5 right now.
Okay.
Definitely in my early career, mothers, who are pregnant, or parents that are about to become parents.
Major life change.
Yes, big ones. And now the niche is from 5 all the way up until 18. But I have noticed that when I opened up my own practice and business, so many adults are coming in. And I think the general theme that I'm seeing is a lot of early childhood experiences, either of parents, trauma, of their own mental health, are seeping into their relationships with their family members, with their loved ones.
Interesting.
Yeah. So even though the niche is on the families and the children, I love the diversity that's coming in right now.
That's amazing that parents are coming in to see you too. I'm reading currently Untangled, and the name of the author is totally escaping me, but it's about parenting teen girls. And I know a lot, and what she's writing is a lot of times the parents coming in for therapy as we raise these kids, and what another lens and angle to look at this, because it is such a journey for all of us.
It really is. It is a
so
journey.
It's interesting that that's your experience right now as well, as also getting parents of kids coming in.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. So how do you make clients feel comfortable when they begin working with you? I assume it's probably a little different depending on the age range.
It starts from the initial phone call. Right? Because people, when they call, they are generally not calling when it's like, hey, I just want something, or in a happy place in their life. So I think when I pick up the phone, I want to be honest, transparency of like, hey, this is the process and this is what you can expect from me and my theoretical background, what languages I speak and just what I bring to the table right off the bat. And then when people come in, I tell them like, look, I'm gonna ask you a bunch of questions.
Right.
And you could tell me to slow down or it's a good pace. And I think people feel some sort of safety that hey, like you are listening to me and now we're gonna do something about it during this process.
Amazing.
And I think the biggest one is transparency.
Great.
Yes.
Yep. From you and also from them, I assume, at some point once they get comfortable.
100%. 100%.
Because that's how you can help them, really.
Yes.
To know what's going on.
Right. And that's through the informed consent of, hey, these are my responsibilities as a professional and this is what I expect from you. When you show up or there's cancellations or there's anything else going on, communication is key.
Yeah.
Right. So
I love, too, that you provide opportunities for the Spanish-speaking community. Are there a lot of, and I'm throwing this question out, you unexpected, are there a lot of other therapists in the area that are bilingual and can help with other languages so there's not that language barrier there?
That is one of, I think, the main reasons why I decided to open up because there's not.
That's crazy.
If you look on Psychology Today and you click that Spanish filter, there's not that many.
Wow.
Especially here in Petaluma, I think I want to say there's only like a handful of us.
That is really, that's really kind of sad for our community that we don't have more because it is a necessary thing that's needed for everyone. Right. And then to then have that filter, and also I feel like, and I'm rambling now, but it is hard to get appointments oftentimes for with different therapists. Yes. And so then if you're also limited to only being able to see one that's Spanish speaking, what a struggle. So I'm so thankful that you're here.
Yes. So. Yes. It's amazing because I'm able to see people from all across California.
Wow.
I think during the pandemic, and so that's a double-edged sword because that impacts just the work and it's more people like needing services, Spanish speaking at least, and there's not that many. So during the pandemic, it really taught us that we could have therapy over the phone or over video.
Yep.
And so we're really impacted at every level, from nonprofit to the county to residential, every level.
Gosh, so more people need to be studying in this field right now, it sounds like.
100%. 100%.
So if you're listening and you're trying to figure out, this was actually my major.
Yes.
So maybe, if real estate doesn't work out, I'll come see you.
Yes.
For multiple reasons, for a job and therapy. Wonderful. So working with families often involves addressing some complex issues. Can you share some strategies or techniques that you find particularly effective in helping families navigate, current changes, situations, challenges?
So I think when people come in with difficulties, with challenges, there's a certain way they're looking at it through that perspective of tired, being burnt out. And sometimes it's only us that are arguing or it's only our family and we need an outsider's perspective. And so in sessions, I like to slow down, right? Be like, okay, when I have 2-3 people in the room, it's like, let me hear from each of you. And is this what I'm hearing? And so I reflect back and it's like, no, that's actually not what I'm saying. And that's okay. I could be wrong, right? Because then it empowers you to say what you wanted to say. And so it lands differently for the other person that you're trying to communicate.
Right.
So I think that's the biggest piece is slowing down and reframing what you're trying to communicate, because often not, we are responding out of emotion, out of fear, out of anger. And so that's what I think, well, I'm speak from my experience as parents, right? It's like parents, it's like, that's how our kids communicate through emotions.
Right.
And sometimes we don't know how to talk from our that brain that allows us to speak what we want to say.
And have the patience to do it too in those moments.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. So your experience includes working with children who suffer from anxiety, depression, and trauma. What advice do you have for parents or caregivers in supporting children who are dealing with these mental health challenges?
It's hard. It's hard to really understand and really know how to navigate those struggles if our children are not allowing us for certain reasons, right? They're not allowing us into their world.
Yes.
And so I like to say, hey, let's slow down, right? And let's see what they're trying to say, right? Sometimes when a kid is in the room majority of the day, it's like, what is the nonverbals?
Right.
Right. When you walk in there, what are they saying? And sometimes it's okay. We try to interpret it, but we don't interpret it right.
Right.
And that's okay. Just validating the process that we're learning, and you're gonna learn your child by picking up on their nonverbals and what they're trying to say. And sometimes it's like, hey, let's slow down because yes, they said that in anger, but what's the message underneath that?
Yeah, and they don't necessarily have the skills to fully verbalize it like the rest of us do. I mean, a lot of us don't have those skills either.
Right.
But especially when they're children and still learning to navigate so many things at once.
It's so different in therapy with like a 5-year-old versus like preteen, a teenager, and it's in each stage. It's definitely like, hey, let's just slow down and validate that, like, hey, this is really hard and this is a process and we're not going to get it right 100% of the time.
Right.
I think that good enough is definitely like, what is that? Right. And so I like to talk about that with parents. It's like, when you show up, when you wake up every day, what's that good enough for you?
Yep.
So
that's a good reminder too.
Yeah.
And admitting to our kids that we're not perfect either, I assume. And like, oh, well, I made a mistake there. I apologize. Here's let's try this again.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So
that is actually something really that I think a theme this week, especially about mistakes.
Oh, yeah.
It's that I'm talking about adults with in their relationships, whatever relationship that is. It's like, hey, let's try to reframe it and say, it's not a mistake. It's like, we're learning.
Totally.
I mean, I did this yesterday with my son.
Right.
He was whisking, some eggs, and then
splash out the
it
bowl.
splashed everywhere. I'm like, look,
I've been there.
Yes, and I had to slow down and be like, oh my goodness, Nico, you are learning, right? And instead of like, oh my goodness, what'd you do?
Why'd you make a mess?
Exactly.
Yeah, no, exactly.
So it's a learning process, and I think that when I say that to people, it puts a different perspective.
Totally. Totally. I love that. I read that you've worked with blended families. As a stepmom and a mom of a blended family, we have 5 in our home. I would love to know what some of the common challenges you see with blended families and how they can work through them.
Yeah. It is clash of worlds, of different worlds. 2 families, 3, whatever it is, right? It's like we come together and we already have a way of communicating, right? For many years.
Yes.
We have cultural differences. We have a way of doing things. And when we come together, whoa, now I'm expected to do something different.
Totally.
Like, I do something that is out of the norm for me. And I think it's really validating that and saying that it's just have patience during this process, because you're not going to get it right the first time or the 10th time or the whatever, right? And so patience is key, and really shifting a perspective of change. How can I change? Of course, right? It's like, I'm not gonna change.
You gotta meet in the middle.
Yes, yes. And how do we do that? How do we get there? Right? And
Absolutely.
I think it starts with the adults.
Yes.
It does.
Yes, I agree with you. I feel like we got very lucky in our situation. Our kids get along beautifully. Like, we are so fortunate. But there was, those things where we had to meet in the middle, and a lot of conversations in the beginning, like, well, what time do you do bedtime? What time do I do bedtime? Okay, are we letting them have a treat right now? Like, things like that. Or, okay, what are your Christmas traditions? These are our Christmas traditions.
Yeah.
How do we mold those together? And a lot of conversations in the beginning. So it's so interesting to me. I'm so intrigued by blended families for that reason.
Yes.
Because I am one. I have one.
and just thinking about those conversations, right? It happens behind closed doors, right? With the parents. And it's like, how are we going to game plan this, right? Because the parents, I think, if they got to be on the same page, and the kids pick up on it.
Oh, yeah.
Like they're so attuned to their parents, right? When they're not and when they are. And so I think that's the biggest piece. It's like, hey, how can we get you two on the same field so the kids could, be
See
right
that.
behind you.
Yes. Which I will give a shout out to my husband for that. He's very good at that. And like if I start to step out of that zone, he'll remind me, okay, like, hey, little ears conversation later. He's very good about that. So shout out to my husband for that.
Yes.
So in your opinion, what are some of the misconceptions people might have about therapy and how we can better promote mental health awareness and reduce any potential stigma?
Oh gosh, I think there's so many.
Yeah.
Just thinking about my culture and my background, it's like if we went to a mental health professional, you are somewhat crazy, or there's something wrong with you, and there is nothing wrong with you. I think it's in this culture, there's a lot of pressure, to succeed, a lot of pressure to do X, Y, and Z by a certain time frame. And it's not about that. And I also think that social media, and movies and TV shows don't do a pretty good job of portraying therapists. It's when I see something on the movies, I cringe, and I'm like, that gives a bad name to us. And okay, fine, yes, we're humans, and we're going to make, we're going to learn from the process, and there's consequences to everything. But that kind of takes away, that kind of adds more negative stigma to just the process of what we're trying to do.
It's not helping anybody.
It's not. It's not.
You mentioned social media. Can I kind of throw something out for a second?
Sure.
Are you seeing with teens right now and preteens any major concerns with social media and how it's affecting them?
Oh, big time. Big time. There's too much time. Too much time. I think parents are, and not to fault parents. It's just the culture that we have to work so much sometimes that it's spend less time at home or with our kids, and the phone it's a substitute for that sometimes.
The babysitter.
Yeah. And I mean, and sometimes, it's like, okay, like an hour or so, like, hey, and there's just too much time. No regulations. I mean, and from what I'm seeing on the news, right, it's like the government is trying to like, yo, TikTok, Facebook, everything. Like you got to do something about it because the kids are suffering.
And this is our next generation.
Exactly. Exactly. And so you can find anything on social media, unfortunately. And one of the red flags right now that I'm seeing with younger kids is YouTube. Even with like YouTube Kids, it's there's filters, but then there's like there's loopholes to that.
I agree.
Too many things.
A lot of kids are on TikTok. I'm the mean mom that won't allow Snapchat. I definitely. So I'm curious to see. And do you see like our kids having issues connecting outside of social media as well? Have you seen that shift at all? Because when we were kids, we were not on TikTok. We were riding our bikes around the neighborhood.
Right. Yes. And I think the pandemic has definitely accelerated that process because it kind of normalized that like we are going to be on our phones or on screens, but in reality it's like we're not meant for that. We are meant to have one-on-one conversations, and it's made us uncomfortable to have conversations in person or over the phone or just telehealth, whatever it is. So
That's so interesting to me. And thanks for letting me throw that out there.
Of course.
I was just curious. It's something, in our household, our kids are getting to those ages. So I'm so curious about it. And are in those ages, some of the kids. So what are some self-care tips you can recommend for individuals and families to maintain their mental and emotional well-being, especially during challenging times?
Let's see. The biggest one is that's coming up is movement.
Love that.
I'm a little biased because, I created Ascend Individual Family Therapy because of the mountains. They inspired me that through movement, through the climbs and through the downs, like that is where I think growth comes in. And I think as a society, again, back to society, we don't move around as much.
Yes, I agree.
We have a lot of jobs that are stagnant, and sure, there's a lot of perks with jobs and everything, but we're stagnant, right? And I think 1 hour a day doesn't cut it.
Agree.
I don't know what is recommended nowadays from the government or from
probably
CDC.
30 minutes.
Yeah, I remember it was 30 minutes.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yes, and
which
then
is
I think
crazy.
Yeah, and so that is the biggest piece.
Yeah,
it's like get out, get some sun, and even if it's raining, we get a rain jacket. And when it's cold, get a jacket and move.
Yeah.
Right.
We've been talking about that in our office because a few of us are doing the 75 hard challenge right now. I don't know if you've heard of that.
No, what is that?
So it's very strict, but we're doing good. I'm on day 17.
Oh my goodness.
So it's 2 workouts a day that have to be at least 45 minutes separated, but one needs to be outside.
Yeah.
Which, as you know, it's been very rainy. So we've been talking about, right? Get your ponchos on. Reading 10 pages of a nonfiction book. Drinking a gallon of water a day, no alcohol, picking whatever diet works for you. I'm just doing clean eating, so that's how I eat anyways.
Nice.
And I'm missing something. There's one more piece in there. But when you say, like, get that rain jacket on, that's what we've been texting each other to, like, keep each other going. Like, oh, the weather outside's not looking so good. All right, we'll get your rain jacket on.
Yes. and my hope is that through that shift in creating a different habit, I hope it doesn't stop at what is it?
Totally. Day 75.
Day 75.
I was just saying that to my husband. I'm like, what happens after day 75?
Yeah.
Well, I got to figure out the plan for after that.
Right. And I think that's a beautiful process because you build community, right? It's like we are going through this hard together.
Yes.
Oh, like I don't want to do it.
Totally.
But I'm being held accountable.
Yep.
And sometimes, to go back to the question, it's okay to take, those days of like, I don't want to.
Right. Right. Exactly.
And, okay, then do it again, try it the next day.
Yep. Yep. I love that. That's great.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Luck, yes.
I'm like, all right, day 17. How many more days? We're getting semi there. Can you share a memorable success story or a case that highlights the impact of your work? I'm sure there's been many.
What is coming to mind is for every person that shows up and is wanting to do the process, that's a success story. That person that I talk to every single week, that's a success story because they have chosen to do the hard of life. And there's a lot come to mind about specifics, but I want to honor everybody. I want to honor everybody who does the process because it is not easy.
I love that.
Not easy.
No, not at all. I mean, even just scheduling that very first appointment is a challenge for a lot of people.
Big time.
So, or realizing that they might need it.
Yes.
That's fantastic. Coming off of work a little bit, what are 3 fun facts about you personally?
I run for fun.
Crazy person.
Great. Exact. Oh, let me take it up a notch. I like to say I am an ultra runner. So that means that I like to go on mountains and I like to race for like 50 miles.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
It's crazy.
That
is
crazy.
Amazing.
It's impressive. How about we say that?
Yes. Nice shift. Yes.
you like that.
Yes. And that's, I started this journey like 5 years ago, where running has become a habit. And I sustained it because the work is hard.
Right.
The work is hard. But I also like to equivalent running to the day-to-day.
Yeah.
It's like, it's hard.
Yeah.
And, taking that step, one step at a time, that's how life is, I think, sometimes. We literally can't, we can think about the future. We set goals, but it starts with one step at a time.
Right.
And so when I'm like hour 6 in running, I'm like, I got to do one step at a time. My legs don't work. My stomach doesn't work. Nothing works. I gotta take it.
I love that.
Yes.
Because you're approaching like that mental challenge of running and applying it to your everyday life as well.
100%. And that's what Ascend is that I will go through that hard with you. And
that's amazing.
Yes. Whatever hard it is, whatever darkness, let's do it together.
I love that. I love that.
Or whoever you want to bring in. Yes.
Not me though. I'm not training you on that.
Maybe one day.
I prefer the treadmill and Pilates. No.
Oh, there you go. Hey, that's a hard thing.
It is,
yes.
it is, for sure.
I do not want to touch Pilates. That is
okay,
so
good,
hard.
It
Yes.
is really hard. I love it.
Yes.
2 more fun facts.
Oh,
about
yes.
you.
Let's see.
I'm not letting you get off that easy.
Let's see. I don't know. I'm a dad of 2 boys.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
What ages?
Oh my goodness. One's gonna be 2 and the other one's gonna be 4.
You're at fun ages.
Yes.
Those are
yes.
good ages.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I love
I
that.
mean, it's kind of hard when they're both trying to, get on my back and yes. But it's lovely. That's so
They're
fun.
so cute at that age.
Yes. Yes.
I will say my kids are cute too. They listen. So, but I want to. Even my older kids are very cute.
Oh,
yes. Yes.
my goodness.
Yeah. So, but they're at really fun
Yes.
ages too, and they're all so good and just like we have the best time. So we're very lucky.
Oh, what an amazing process.
Yeah. Oh God, it's incredible. Then we just family vacations, Friday night dance parties, all that. It's just we have a really good group.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Do you have any more facts? It's okay if you don't. I
no,
always put people on the spot.
Let's see. Back before, young person that I was, I wanted to be a DJ.
Oh, that's fun.
I have no idea. I don't know why nobody stopped me. But I was that. And I'm like, I'm not going to do that again. Now the only dancing and singing that I do is with my kids at karaoke. Like, give me that mic. And Yes.
It's like the best excuse to get to live that part out. They don't judge. They think you're amazing.
Yes. Yeah. They're not at that age yet.
No, totally. Yes. So towards the end of each episode, I like to ask, is there anyone that's really helped you with your career that you would like to give a shout out to?
I think I mentioned her already is my mom. She modeled that what is hard work as an immigrant here in this country, and what it means to open up her own business. Amazing. 20 years in the making now. So shout out to her.
That's amazing. And what a beautiful sentiment to her too.
Yes.
Where can my listeners find you if they're interested in talking to you or setting up an appointment?
Yeah. You could search up my name on Google, Mario Apolinar, or you could also do ascendtherapyinc.com. You can find social media on there. And those are the top 2.
Great. And I'll put links in the show notes for anybody too to be able to reach you.
Sounds good.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for coming in today. I appreciate it, Mario.
Thank
you for listening. If you like what you hear, please be sure to like and subscribe. Learn more about Sonoma County and all that we have to offer here.